I'm going to jump into what's going on. So without further ado, let's cover, and I'm going to try to break this down as easy as possible. I'm going to try to get it down. It's tough. Let's go over what happened this week. Now, this week, the stock market went through something unprecedented. And I'm going to tell you why it was unprecedented. It was unprecedented because the moving and the shifting was happening from the bottom up. You see, in the world of finance, this has never happened before, at least not that I know of, where the everyday man is now threatening the livelihood of the 1%. And you guys have to bear with me until the end of this. This is way too complex for me to say, fuck the rich, or yes, this has so many dimensions to it. So we're going to go through it step by step. But it is very important that we start by explaining one thing only. Finance in the financial markets, stock markets specifically, has a lot more to do with human behavior than it has to do with something called fundamentals. And I'm going to use that word a lot, and I want you guys to just bear with me on this. Human nature is what leads finance. I remember when I was in university, I took a course called Venture Capital with an incredible professor called Tarek Katene. Shout out to him. And we had an examination, and it was to put a valuation on a company. And before that exam, he gave us an exercise. He said, I'm going to give you a fictional company, and I want you to give me what you believe the value of this company should be. And it was a fast food company. And in my analysis of the company, I basically went and said, okay, this company is similar to, McDonald's and Burger King. It has, whereas we see McDonald's has this much percentage growth over the past 5 years. If we project normal stuff, blah, 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 their dispersion is like this. They differ in this way. Therefore, I'm going to change the value a bit like this. And I came up with a number, something I believed the company was valued at. I had a friend of mine called George who came out with a totally different number. Both of our answers, we got 100 on them. And I remember my friend George, who is French educated, and French educated people are highly intelligent, but also very rigid. In Lebanon, we have French education. They're very formulaic. They make the best engineers. They're some of the smartest people, but it's difficult for them to apply critical thinking sometimes because for them, there should be one absolute answer. They deal a lot like in a world of absolutes like the Sith. So basically the French educated friend of mine could not comprehend how could one company have two different valuations? And our professor explained at the time, it depends on what the market adopts, right? It's like saying, hey, this phone here is worth $100, right? And then you say, why is it worth $100? I might convince you, I might not. Finance is an art. Despite what people might tell you, in the stock market, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of maneuvering, manipulation, greed. It's very important that you remember these things because this is at the base of what happened this past week, okay? Now, let's start from the beginning. And I'm going to use memes to kind of travel us through the timeline. And this has been going on for much longer than this past week. We've only become privy to what's going on this week in the broad spectrum. Reddit woke up this morning and decided to make their own stimulus checks. This all started on a subreddit called Wall Street Bets, a subreddit I've been following for quite some time now. Before the pandemic went into full swing, I was on Wall Street Bets on Reddit, and I found them hilarious. I found them crazy, and we're going to talk a bit more about them in a bit. This is a forum. For those of you who don't know Reddit, Reddit is a website where you can go and share stuff. It's often called the front page of the internet. A lot of things that go viral on Reddit will go viral all over the world. So on Reddit, this forum, this group, if you will, called Wall Street Bets, made a change in the world that is going to change things forevermore. This is a good summary. You see, we live in America right now. And in America has failed completely. Under the former presidency that we had, as usual, a Republican presidency ends and an economic crisis begins. This is more often than not the case. Under Donald Trump, this is probably the worst economic crisis we've ever had. Yes, there was a pandemic, but there was zero response. There was zero accountability. All of these things fed into a very disastrous situation for the everyday man and woman. On top of that, no stimulus checks. The American people, the greatest country on earth, was given, they gave out $1,200 stimulus check and a $600 stimulus check. That's it, $1,800. We didn't get tax breaks. We didn't get any relief. We didn't get anything substantial from our government. Whereas the same government gave billions and trillions of dollars in bailout money to corporations. These corporations use that money to buy back a lot of their shares, making the 1% richer. In fact, overall wealth, and we're going to talk about that in a bit, for the 1% has increased by several $1 trillion during the pandemic, while the opposite has been true. A transfer of wealth has gone from the poor to the rich, which happens often. The concept of trickle-down economics, which was made popular during the Reagan era, has been widely debunked and is known for absolutely not working. There is no such thing as trickle-down economics, which means if you take care of the rich people on the top, it's going to trickle down to the poor people at the bottom. That's not true. It's the other way around, and it always has been. But governments don't function like that because the people paying the bills for the politicians are the 1%. So that's what it is. That sentiment is very important to what happened this week. People are fucking pissed off. They've been betrayed. They woke up this morning and decided to make their own stimulus check. Remember when senators got coronavirus briefings before the public and sold off millions of dollars in stocks before the crash last year and faced no consequences and no regulation? Then Reddit made one stock into a meme and they're talking about restructuring the entire market. Very important. Now, a lot of the senators that went on to say that it's a hoax. Do you guys remember watch coronavirus disappear when Trump loses the election? I don't see it disappearing. Do you remember the insanity of making the allegations that countries from Europe, Asia, the Middle East were all tanking their economies because they don't like Trump? You remember that? All of it is bullshit. All of this is because a lot of people just didn't want to wear a mask because we live in a generation of very spoiled, selfish people who don't look out for their elders. So before we were gaslighted by these leaders in politics that this was a hoax, that this was all fake, they sold off their stocks. They made millions. And then they went on to completely batter us down into the ground. You might be wondering, why would they do that? I'm going to explain it to you very quickly. As the crisis deepened, property value plummeted. And a lot of things became a lot cheaper. Guess who's buying those things and expanding their wealth? The 1%. Keep that in mind. Now, no regulation, nothing happened. One meme. And now we're talking about regulation. We're going to talk a bit more about that as well and the difference between the 2008 crash and now. Sean Murray, the creator of No Man's Sky. Never in my 3 days of trading have I ever seen anything like this. This is a very important meme. And let me tell you why. A lot of the people who fueled this thing that's happening right now have never traded before. A lot of the people started trading when the pandemic began. You took hundreds of millions of Americans, put them in the house, did not give them any stimulus packages, nothing, and they have no source of income. So they turned to look for sources of income, and now you have people called day traders making stock trades daily. I even dabbled in it a bit. And I've done it before, but I was so blown away by the amount of people who were doing it for the first time. And Wall Street Bets was a very popular subreddit forum that was pushing people with tactics on how to invest. Using words, trigger warning, I'm just giving you the facts. Using words, and once again, a trigger warning, I don't like to use these words, but basically they call each other autists, retards, and apes. I'm not making this shit up. This is the most weird place I've ever seen with financial people making huge decisions, posting something called loss porn. They take pride in showing how much they lose. They have stuff called YOLO tactics, where they will throw a shit ton of money just to get a post that shows they've lost several $1 million, all for the lols. They use words like, hello, fellow retards, hello, autists, and we're going to see a bit of that. And it's important because you got to know that the fact that this shit is now threatening financial markets, it's so funny to see the degeneracy of the everyday man ruining financial institutions as we know them, okay? We're going to see this stuff, and I've tried to limit that content as much as possible, but you need to understand the culture that went behind this. When people are using words like that, they're frustrated, they're angry, and they're turning to whatever comic relief they can to get shit out, okay? Important you remember that sentiment. On top of that, we're dealing with a lot of people who are now at home, and they need money. Remember, need money, as opposed to the 1% who have more money than they know what to do with. Keep that in mind. Billionaires, if you invest in stocks, you too can become like me. Everyone, invest in stock. You weren't supposed to do that. These memes are very important. This is about the sentiment. We've been gaslighted for how long? Oh, you don't have money? Maybe you should stop buying coffee from Starbucks. Oh, you don't have money? Why don't you save? Why did you take out college loans if you can't pay them back? You have a loan? Easy, just pay it back. How long have we heard these words from the rich, gaslighting us that our situations are our own fault? While the reality of it is the minimum wage hasn't increased in over 40 years, but the price of housing and expense and everything has increased exponentially. Exponentially. In America, the greatest country in the world, we are now fighting for a minimum wage increase from $7 to $15, where in the Netherlands and Denmark, it's $22. $22. We're fighting from 7 to 15. Every time somebody runs into medical problems in America, they launch a GoFundMe. Do you know what a GoFundMe is? It's when you turn to society for funding. Do you know what that is? Socialism. But come and say make healthcare free for everyone, stop being a socialist. Use GoFundMe instead. Fuck off with that bullshit. That sentiment is very much behind this generation's fury over what's going on. And the gaslighting, very much behind. Let's move on. Hedge funds. A big problem is the hedge funds. GameStop can't open its doors because of the pandemic. Let's short more than 100% of its stock so the company dies and 15,000 people lose their jobs. Reddit, fuck you. Finance media, oh my God, Redditors are using foul language. Let's dive in to the meat and potatoes, my friends. And I'm going to have to stand up for this thing because I'm going to try to explain some very complex stuff to you guys, but they're not complicated. One thing about finance that I really hope you guys can feel with me today is that it's actually very simple because it was created by human beings. So we're going to try to break down what happened and what went down. Hedge funds are funds that are made where they take a lot of money and they invest them in a lot of stocks. It's different than a mutual fund. Okay. A mutual fund is usually used for retirement accounts. It's usually low risk and long term, whereas hedge funds are more short term in their approach and focus on taking usually a higher risk and getting a higher return. So that's just a very basic way of breaking it down. Now, we all know the company GameStop, or a lot of us know it, and a lot of us are gamers. A lot of us grew up with this company. GameStop is going through some difficult financial times. Why? And let me make sure that I have this. Yes. Why are they going through some difficult financial times? Because the world's changing. You can get your games online. You can buy them, download them to your computer. Why would I leave to go and buy games? Then pandemic comes on. Now it's dangerous to leave your house to buy games. Yes, they sell merchandise. Yes, they sell other stuff. Yes, they're trying to restructure. Yes, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the CEO of Nintendo America, has now joined their board. Yes, they have a lot going for them, but it's tough. Hedge funds took a look at GameStop. They saw it as a potential company that could easily fail. So they did something incredibly messed up. Something that should be highly regulated, but isn't. The reason it isn't regulated is because it makes you a lot of money very fast. Sorry about that. And on top of that, the reason it isn't regulated is because there's never been any pain felt by the 1%. Today, the 1% have lost at their own game, and it might end up costing us. So I want you to wait till the end of the episode to see what the repercussions are, because we have to go through it step by step. There's something called shorting a stock. Now, if I come and I say, I have 1,000 shares of, let's take a fictional stock and let's call it NEMR, okay? That's my name. NEMR is my ticker symbol on the stock market. I'm on the NASDAQ and I'm sexy, baby. Let me tell you, people love my stock. Now, each price of my stock is $10. So one share on the open market is $10. Let's say I want to buy 1,000 shares. That's $10,000. Okay. So usually you have hedge funds or brokerages, and the brokerages, they own this stock and they trade it. So when you go on the stock market and you buy stocks, you're buying them from somebody who owns them. They're being transferred to you in exchange for money. So let's say I come to a brokerage and I say, hey, brokerage, can I take 1,000 shares of GameStop? You might say, okay, you just buy them. Here's the catch. Something called shorting a stock means you go to a brokerage and you say, I want to borrow 1,000 shares. Let's say these are the 1,000 shares right here. This phone represents 1,000 shares of GameStop. I come in and you say, hey, can I borrow your phone? Can I borrow those 1,000 shares? You say, yeah, sure thing. You give them the phone, but I need $2 for that. Okay, $2 a share. The share is worth $10. I don't want $10. I'm going to lend it to you for a month, but I need $2. So instead of paying $10,000 for this phone, I'm going to give it to you for $2,000, but you have to give me the phone back in a month. Remember, the phone. You can't pay me the $10,000 back. I need the phone. I'm lending you this object. I'm not lending you money. So I'm lending you the shares for the price. Why would I do this? Because I believe I am going to be holding this stock for a couple of months. I want to make some more money on top of this stock. I give this to you. You give me $2,000. I just made 20%. I just made 20% profit. And in a month, I get my stocks back. Now, why would you, the investor, want to do this? Because you believe that the price of the stock is going to go down. So you say, give me the stock, which is worth $10, and I will pay you $2 for that stock. If the price of the stock decreases to an overall price less than $8, so that's 10 minus 2, and I'm simplifying this, but this is pretty much it, you make a profit. Why? Because after a month, what you do is you take this stock, this phone. I took it from you, right? I said, I'm going to give it to you in a month. What do I do with it? I immediately sell it. I immediately sell it. Right now. For how much? For $10 on the share. How much profit do I have? $8. I got $8. In a month, I got to give this phone back. If the price has gone from $8 down to $6, I go to the market, I buy the phone back for $6, give it back to the person, and I just made $2 profit. If the price goes down to $1, I go back into the market, buy it for $1, I made $7 profit, right? And that's what's called shorting a stock. Shorting a stock means you're borrowing the stocks from a brokerage, paying them a fee for borrowing it, and then returning this good to them later. How do you return it? You basically sell it as soon as you borrow it and buy it back on the return date. What happens if the stock price goes up? And this is where it starts to get to what happened this week. If the stock price goes up, if the price of this phone increases, I'm going to have to go back and buy it for much more than I sold it as. That's a loss. That's the risk you're taking. High risk, high reward. Okay, fair enough. Do you guys get that? Are we all good? Fantastic. Now, where does it get very thorny? Regulation. This week, what happened was because we had over 140% of a stock shorted. It's called a short margin. What does that mean? How could you have more stock than the stock of a company? How could you have 140% of a company? Because there's no regulation. I came and I told you, give me the phone. I was like, sure, here's the phone. Give me $2,000. $2,000, phone given to you. I want that in a month. You got it, brother. This person takes it, immediately turns around and doesn't sell it on the stock market. But that person does the same thing you did. He goes and lends it to somebody else for $1.50. Then that person takes the phone and does the same thing to somebody else. And so on and so on. Because there's no regulation. And I think some of you are going to be like, wait, what? Why the fuck would you be able to do that? That should be illegal. That should be illegal. Yes, you need to regulate Wall Street. Because if we do have a recession from this, do not let them gaslight you that it's because Wall Street bets or some everyday person basically bought some stocks. It's because they don't regulate it so they can do this shit. Because it makes them money. Every time somebody gives this out, that's another promise to give the phone back. No problem. The percentage on top of percentage on top of percentage means that you can leverage the amount of stock on a company beyond what's available. 140% of a phone? Where am I going to find the additional 40? It doesn't exist. This phone and this phone represent 100% of the market. Where am I going to get the 40% from? It doesn't exist. And you can't say the company will just print stock out because the company doesn't do that. The company printed its stock out. This is the amount of stock in the market. If you say I need 40% more, they can't give you 40% more. Why? Because if I print 40% more of my company, I dilute the value of my shares. If I tell you this cup is worth $10 and then this cup grows to this big, it's still $10. the value of each centimeter cubic of volume in this cup has decreased. And the same thing, if I tell you this cup is $10, but I give you a smaller cup, you're like, what the fuck? I thought I was buying a bigger cup. That's how it works. So as these shortings, I took stock, shorted it to somebody. He took that, shorted it to somebody. He took that, shorted it to somebody. They were betting that GameStop was going to go down in price. So what happens when GameStop goes up in price? A small fraction of a rise in the price of GameStop stock will trigger panic amongst the people doing the shortings. Fuck, it's going up. I need to buy back stock now, because if it keeps going up, then it's going to become even more expensive for me, and there aren't enough stocks to go around. So I could be in a situation where I don't have the stocks to give. What happens if you don't do that? You have violated your contract, you get your license removed, and you're shut down. So they're facing complete disaster. So a small increase in the GameStop stock from $4 to $5 triggers a bit of a panic. Somebody goes out and buys stock. What happens when you buy stock? The price increases more. Now the next person in line panics and buys stock. The price increases more. And so on and so on, and the price starts increasing. A small price increase from a group of people on a subreddit of maybe 50% from $4 to $6 will trigger a fucking insane reaction in the markets because you are over leveraged beyond the 100%. How could this be avoided? Don't allow people to short beyond 100%. There would be no need to panic. But basically now they're fighting for their livelihoods and their future. Now let's jump back in. Is everybody clear on what we're doing right now? The short sellers shorted much more. So Llewellyn, I'm going to get into the details of what the short sellers did. I just want to make sure that everybody has a broad concept of what's going on here. Let's recap before we dive into the fundamentals and the specifics. I took a phone. You asked for my phone. Our friends were friends. Hey, yo, can I use your phone? Sure thing. I need $2 for that. You better give it back. If you don't give it back, I keep the $2. If you do give it back, I keep the $2. I need to have the phone back. That's the contract. The thing is, if you don't give it back, you go to jail. All right? So I give you the phone. You give me $2. In a month, you give me back the phone. Our transaction has ended. The person who took the phone has the phone now, can turn around and sell it, and then in a month, buy it for cheaper, give it back, making a profit. That is the right way of doing a short. Is it a bit like gambling? Kind of. Is there a use for it? Yes. It's meant to decrease risk in portfolios, but that's a whole different discussion, and it's not what it's being used for. So we could maybe, who knows, if this ends up being a very popular episode, Finance with NEMR 101. Who knows? But what's happening is this person isn't selling the phone and then buying it back. This person is taking the phone and going, yo, this is my phone. This is my phone. Basically, if you're Lebanese, these are the people who act like they own a lot of stuff. If you go to Dubai and everybody is the manager of a nightclub, this is basically it. I'm the manager. This is my phone. This is my phone. Here, you can borrow it for $2, for $1.50. Onwards and onwards and onwards, increasing the leverage position beyond 100% the value of the phone, or the 100% the availability of the phone. Now, let's jump into the fundamentals. This right here, sorry about that. This chart right here gives you, it's a very easy way to kind of summarize what's going on. A chaotic trading forum on Reddit has grown steadily to 2.5 million members. That's Wall Street Bets. Step one, you take a look here and you start seeing that over the years from 2013, 14, 15, 16, you can see 17, 18, 19, pandemic is hitting. They're going from up to about 1 million users. In the last year, they have exponentially grown. I think they're at 7 million users right now, okay? In the past week, their numbers have quintupled. Step two, institutional investors have been betting. This is what Llewellyn was talking about, and these are the fundamentals. Institutional investors have been betting against GameStop, a struggling retailer. So these motherfuckers come in, take a company where thousands of people work, over 15,000 employees, and they say, this company's having a hard time. I'm going to make it so hard that there's no way that they can survive. There is no fucking way this company's coming back from what I'm going to do from them. Why? Because I have billions of dollars. I'm a hedge fund. I am going to short the living fuck out of their stock. I'm going to short their stock so hard that there's no way it can go any way but down. Who's going to stop me? Who has the money to trigger a reaction to that. Were they doing that because they believed GameStop was a shit company? No, they were doing it because they believed GameStop was going to have a hard time to come back, making it a prime target for them to bully it into the fucking ground. And once the share price decreases so much that GameStop goes and declares bankruptcy, other rich people come and buy it up and sell it off for parts. This is how the fucking economy works, and it's rigged. Guess who gets fucked in the meantime? The 15,000 employees. The 15,000 employees, they go. They're gone. Nobody gave a shit about those 15,000. So remember that. They start shorting the living shit out of the stock. Take a look at this. From 2016 to 2020, the share price is going down. They've been betting against GameStop, which is a struggling retailer. Look at it. Started up here. I think their stock at its height was like $60. It went down to like something around $4. Users on Reddit begin to rally around a few investors that see value in GME. That investor is a guy called Deep Fucking Value. His name is Deep Fucking Value. I need you all to understand something. The financial market is collapsing because of a guy called Deep Fucking Value and some other guy called I Put Things in My Anus. I'm not making this shit up. This is what's happening, and it's fucking glorious, okay? And we're going to talk about Deep Fucking Value in a second. The number of mentions by stock ticker on January 25th on Wall Street Bets, GME, which is GameStop stock ticker, 44% of all mentions were dedicated to one stock. When you're taking a look at 2.5 million plus people, each buying 100 shares, 1,000 shares, 10,000 shares, 50,000 shares, you're now looking like a goddamn hedge fund. As GME's stock rises, investors and market makers have to buy GME shares to cover their short positions, sending GME even higher. The stock's $4. A bunch of people on Reddit buy it. It goes up to $5. $5 with 140% spread is a massive loss. And it puts a huge strain on the supply. So people panic buy a large amount, pushing the stock price higher, making the people on Reddit who bought earlier make a lot of money. Now other people hear about it. I want in too. So they jump in, pushing the price higher. Then the hedge funds who are shorted down the chain are like, fucking hell, what's going on? So they buy more, pushing the price higher. But every time, it doesn't go higher in a linear fashion. It goes higher like this. And that's what we saw right here. And let's jump into those. Take a look at this. Now, I want to go, I'm going to have a hard time. This is him. This is what I told you about gaming, okay? This is the guy, Deep Fucking Value. I want to jump into his video from August 21, 2020. Now, this guy from a year ago came out and said, I think GameStop has a lot of value. This is a guy who does a lot of research, looks at the fundamentals and says, hey, GameStop has a lot of value. He came out with his argument and people made fun of him on Wall Street Bets. You're going to have a hard time dumping these when the stock drops below $3 this week. He says, think so, bet so. This is 1 year ago. 1 year ago. This isn't a fad. This is a man who made a calculated decision and made a large investment and bought these stocks. Somebody said, I've got puts. Yeah, maybe not below $3, but I would be surprised if it went to the moon. But this market makes no sense, so I wouldn't be that surprised. Okay? 1 year ago, he says, dude, this is Deep Fucking Value talking. Dude, everyone thinks I'm crazy and I think everyone else is crazy. I've dealt in deep value stocks for years, but I've never endured bearish sentiment this heavy. Bearish means people are just, they don't believe it. Okay, they don't believe that it's going to, I think he meant to say bullish here, but still, bearish means that it's going to tank. I expect the narrative to shift in the second half of the year when investors start looking for ways to play the console refresh and they begin to see what I see. I'll post the update tomorrow as I always do after data readouts. It will be ugly and everyone will mock me as usual, but I expect GameStop to bounce back just as it did after the two previous earnings readouts. This is him. This is in August when the stock price was at around $4. I'm going to zoom through this video. This is the guy. This is the guy who's tanking Wall Street right now.
GameStop is one of the most compelling asymmetric opportunities in the market today. Really, I don't understand how you could disagree with that. That's why it's the top position in my portfolio and also Dr. Mike Berry's portfolio. But based on
Now, Mike Berry, if you guys want to know who Mike Berry is, have you seen The Big Short? Christian Bale's character, who is the same person who predicted the financial crisis in 2008 and was one of the few people that was able to make a killing financially off of it. Mike Berry, that guy, is also somebody who is bullish on GameStop. So for anybody who says these are just a bunch of weird Redditors who use autists and retard and ape together strong for Harambe, which is literally their rallying cry in many posts, it's actually following somebody who is actually putting their thought process and making a video explaining their position, and Mike Berry, who is acted by Christian Bale as the man, the genius, the high-functioning autist, who was actually able to predict the 2008 financial crisis. The 2008 financial crisis happened in the same shit way that it's happening right now. It was a lot of people taking short positions on insanely big they're going way over what they have, the underlying stock. Naked shorts is what they're called, by the way. When you go beyond the amount available of your stock, it's called a naked short. You're writing a short on something that doesn't exist. You're literally asking for $2, but you don't even have the phone. It's not yours. It's a naked short. Same shit happened. So here we have this dude coming out and saying,
prevailing sentiment, the market, and popular culture,
he's explaining why he thinks GameStop is a great stock.
Everyone's wrong. It's like The Big Short again, or more like The Big Short Squeeze this time, right? Anyway, let me show you what...
He said the big short squeeze. You've probably heard the term short squeeze. A short squeeze is when you short too many naked shorts, go over the 100% of the stock, and there's not that much stock remaining in the market. Squeeze. It's a short squeeze.
We're seeing. Still in 2020, GameStop maintains a healthy market share within the gaming industry. It's the only major brick-and-mortar retailer dedicated to gaming, and a recent survey indicated that over 25% of people buy their new games at GameStop, and 40% of people buy their used games there. Its reboot plan is well underway, and it's comprised...
So this guy's coming out and he's saying why he believes the stock is impressive. I recommend you guys watch this video because he talks about how he thinks they're going to make a comeback, how they're positioned, that they want to basically do it in a way that puts gaming at the center of the ecosystem, in a way that it's like the culture of gaming as opposed to selling the products. It's fantastic. But here's the most important thing I want you guys to pay attention to.
Float 100%. Can you believe heavily shorted analysts don't even give a shit about the fundamental? Increasingly compelling. And this matters because if the price breaks out, technical analysts don't even give a shit about the fundamentals.
If the price breaks out, technical analysts don't even give a shit about the fundamentals. He says here...
Now, obviously, this thesis is based largely on the fundamentals, but shit...
His thesis is based largely on the fundamentals, but shit, if the price breaks out...
GameStop's chart is looking increasingly compelling, and this matters because if the price breaks out, technical analysts who don't even give a shit about the fundamentals will start piling on. To add to this, GameStop is by far the most heavily shorted company in the market.
So he's talking in August when it's shorted to 99.63%. We're almost at 100% of the total availability.
With short interest of around 100% of the float. 100%? Can you believe that shit? The combination of positive fundamental developments, a potentially massively bullish...
This is in August 21 of 2020 when the stock price was at about $4.61. $4.61. Today, GameStop is at $325. This guy was holding on to it from when it was $3. It's now $3.25. Let's dive back in. Remember what he said here. Technical analysts don't give a shit about what?
By far the most heavily shorted company in the market. The fundamentals will start piling on. To add to this, GameStop is by far fundamentals. But shit, GameStop's chart is looking increasingly compelling. And this matters because if the price breaks out, technical analysts who don't even give a shit about the fundamentals will start...
They don't even give a shit about the fundamentals. This is a video that I pulled from 2014. Listen to this.
Welcome to Wall Street Confidential. I'm Aaron Task, joined again by Jim Cramer. Jim, welcome.
Jim Cramer is a prolific financial analyst and advisor who has his own show called The Squawk Box, if I'm not mistaken, on CNBC. He's been around forever.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. There's a lot of economic data out today, but I want to talk about something else first. Again, today we have the misdirection from the futures. The futures pointing to an up market, and as of right now...
So this is in 2014.
Is this just because it's the holiday period that we're seeing this?
You know, a lot of times when I was short...
A lot of times when I was short, because he used to run hedge fund,
and I was positioned short, meaning I needed it down, I would create a level of activity beforehand that could drive the futures. It doesn't take much money. Similarly, if I were long and I would want to make things a little bit rosy, I would go in and take a bunch of stocks and make sure that they're higher, and maybe commit $5 million in capital to do it, and I could affect it. What you're seeing now is it probably is bigger market now. Maybe you need 10 million in capital to knock this stuff down, but it's a fun game and it's a lucrative game, and you can move it up and then fade it. That's often creates a very negative feel. So let's say you take a longer term view intraday, and you say, listen, I'm going to boost the futures, and then when the real sellers come in, real market comes in, they're going to knock it down. That's going to create a negative view. That's a strategy very worth doing when you're valued on a day-to-day basis. And I would encourage anyone who's in the hedge fund game to do it because it's legal.
Right.
I would encourage anyone who's in the hedge fund business to do it.
Basis, and I would encourage anyone who's in the hedge fund game to do it because it's legal.
Right.
Because it's legal.
And it is a very quick way to make money.
And it's a very quick way to make money. Did you see the guy talking to him? How he's like,
because it's legal.
Right.
And it is a very quick way to make money and very satisfying.
Okay. Well,
by the way, no one else in the world would ever admit that, but I can care.
That's right, and you can say that here.
I can't. I'm not going to say it on TV.
Well, at another point in time in this interview, he says nobody cares about the fundamentals.
Offering, when you see Annie to knock Rim down, but emotion, and you would feed that there's a palms got.
So listen to the process that he's saying.
What I used to do was called, if I wanted to go higher, I would take and bid. And if I wanted to go lower, I'd hit an offer. And I could get a stock like Rim for maybe, that might cost me 15, 20 million, Annie, to knock Rim down. But it would be fabulous because it would beleaguer all the moron longs who are also keying on research and motion. So we're seeing that. That's, again, when your company's in a survival mode, it's really important to defeat research and motion and get the Pisanis of the world.
When your company's in survival mode, it's very important to defeat research in motion. Notice how on the financial market, they treat companies like fictitious narratives. He actually says this now.
People talking about it as if there's something wrong with Rim. Then you would call the journal and you get the world in the...
So here he talks about how to create your own narrative so that the market, which we've already established, is based on people's emotions, start to get afraid.
People talking about it as if there's something wrong with Rim. Then you would call the journal and you get the Bozo Report on Research in Motion, and you would feed that there's a Palm's got a killer it's going to give away. These are all the things you must do on a day like today. And if you're not doing it, maybe you shouldn't be in the game.
Okay. Another stock that a lot of people are focused on right now seems to be Apple.
Yeah, Apple's very important to spread the rumor that that both Verizon and AT&T have decided they don't like the phone.
Right.
That's a very easy one to do because it's also, you want to spread the rumor that it's not going to be ready for Macworld. And this,
you got to spread the rumor. You got to. What we're hearing here is somebody telling you how stock prices are manipulated to make profits for the hedge funds. The reason this is important is because stock price manipulation is the game. And what we've seen today is Redditors like Deep Fucking Value, okay, coming out with a video right here, and the one we showed earlier telling you, I think there's a huge value for the company, but on top of that, look how much has been shorted from the stock. So I believe that if the price doesn't have to go up that high for me to make a lot of money, if the price goes up just a bit, the hedge funds are going to panic and they're going to buy stock and drive the price up much higher. What Cramer was doing was what hedge funds have been doing for decades. The opposite. They've been doing what Reddit did today, but because it profited them, nobody talked about regulation. Nobody talked about making things illegal to do a naked short, to come out and say, hey, I have a phone, give me $2 and I'll lend it to you, but I don't even have the phone. It's not my phone. I borrowed it from somebody else. That's not supposed to be legal. That's not, you can't do that in an apartment that you rent without the landlord's express consent. There's a law against that. I can't rent an apartment and then rent it to somebody else, but I can rent a stock and rent it to somebody else? Really? Why? Because it's been making them money. We are witnessing a guy called Deep Fucking Value coming out with a theory that people laughed at him for. 6 months later, he comes out in August with another video, which we just saw, that some people were like, I think this guy's onto something here, especially when he explained to them the naked position. These people then made a meme out of Deep Fucking Value. The meme became popular because memes are easy to understand. To the moon. To the fucking moon. You probably saw that a lot. Ape together strong. We hold. These memes are simple directives that allowed millions of people with small investments that, if you add them, turn out to be tens of millions of dollars. And you just saw Cramer saying you don't need that much money. $10 million, $5 million, $15 million, and you can move the market up and down, and it'll trigger the result you need. So if you're a hedge fund looking for survival, it's okay to do that. That is unethical, but it isn't illegal. And hell, there is no such thing as ethics in finance. It just doesn't exist. Thinking what's ethical and unethical doesn't make sense. That's not the rule of the game. That's like saying you can't travel in American football. They don't apply. They're two different games. So always remember that. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking that what's happening now is unethical. This is the market. This is how it's played. It's the first time it's being played by everyday people because of memes. Now, on December 25, remember the video we saw earlier was from August? On December 25, he's rejoicing because...
I hope everyone's having a great week. Surprise! GameStop's up about 5x from when I uploaded those videos.
So here the stock price of GameStop was at about $20 on December 25, and he's like, surprise!
So that's great to see when you have a thesis, and by and large it unfolds as you hope that it could. That's nice. So it shouldn't be taken for granted. It doesn't always happen. So that's great. And yeah, it's just to clear up some potential misconceptions. This was a true YOLO for me.
A YOLO means you only live once. It's a YOLO move. He went and put all of his life savings into GameStop. I want to repeat. This is a guy who came out with a thesis, said, I believe in it so much, I put my life savings, which I believe were $40,000 or $50,000, into a stock. He explains in this video, which once again, his channel is called Roaring Kitty, and I highly recommend you subscribe to it because it has fantastic content. In his channel, he explains that he's living in a house that he rents, he doesn't own. So it was difficult for him, and he explains in this video that when he took that position, it was very difficult for him to do it because he's married and he has kids. So he really believed in this stock and the fundamentals. He invested for the right reasons, but his insurance was the fact that I doubt it's going to go south because it would be too expensive for it to go south because the hedge funds would lose too much money. Smart man saw what was in the market, saw what was in the company, made his investment. Very important because I don't want you guys to get lured into now throwing your money behind stocks that people promise are going to be the next big thing. Do research like this guy. Make an informed decision. It was a YOLO for him, which means he could have lost everything. That was on December 25. That was when it was $20, $25. It's now $325. This guy here, this is a video of the chairman of Interactive Brokers saying that the reason that they stopped. So what happened this week? The price of GameStop started to fucking go up very fast. Let's take a look. GME, this is what happened this week, and it's fucking thrilling. The past 5 days, right here, okay? Monday, January 25, the stock reached $96. Look at that. Tuesday, $87, and it's climbing. By the end of the day on Tuesday, it's reached $131, $145. Wednesday, $351. The price is skyrocketing. Why? Because of the naked short positions. People are panicking. The hedge funds, which have billions of dollars, are like, fuck, we're going to lose. We don't have enough stock. Buy stock, because if you don't buy the stock now and another hedge fund buys it, there will not be any stock for us to buy, and we are done. We are finished. We have violated our contract. Buy. 140% more than availability. 140% more. So the buying starts. The triggering happens. Now, this is insanity. The price rises by Thursday, by end of day. It opens on Thursday at $470. If you bought this stock on Monday at $96 or $100, you just made a 400% return plus in a matter of days. 400% plus in a matter of days. 400% for you. For the people shorting the stock, they have lost tens of billions. The panic sets in here. We saw something that we never thought would happen before. Trading companies like Robinhood, ironically named after the titular character Robin Hood, who steals from the rich to give to the poor, stopped the purchasability of GameStop. Stopped the poor from buying the stock. It said, due to market volatility, we're stopping it now. And this was insane. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went out and called for an investigation. People went online, went fucking nuts. You're allowed to sell this stock, but you're not allowed to buy more stock. What? Why? People like this man over here, right here, started saying that the reason that they did that, this dude who's old, geriatric, doesn't even know how to set up a webcam, said that he did it for the integrity of the market. The reality is they didn't have enough shares. They couldn't keep selling shares. They needed to stop. They were bleeding. They were bleeding dry. Guess what happened in 2008 when we were bleeding dry? Nothing. Nothing was stopped. Guess what happened post 2008? Regulations. Guess what happened when Trump took power back? The Republicans, they removed the regulations. Guess where we are again? In the same fucking place. Because there's nothing to stop them from doing this shit. But as soon as the everyday person did what they've been doing, which would do what exactly? It would destroy some of these hedge funds. They changed the rules. And hey, they have every right to. I'm not saying they can't. They own the companies. The Robinhood is owned by a company called Citadel, and Citadel owns one of the hedge funds which was looking to go bankrupt as a result of this. So they stopped the trading. They stopped the trading, and this has never happened before. They drove the price down from $470 by Thursday. This is start of day Thursday at 10 a.m. Okay, that's not even start of day. Start of day is right here. Let me take a look. Around 9:30, even earlier. It goes from 9:30 in the morning. At 10 a.m., it is now doubled in value from $265 to $469. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fucking movie. This is a movie. In hours, it has doubled in value practically. That's when the trading stops. They halt purchasability of GameStop because they don't have enough shares to give. That's the reality of it. Is it corrupt? Is it fucked up? Yes, they shouldn't have been in this position to begin with. But they were greedy and they put themselves in this position, and now they're getting punished for it. Just like we were punished on the daily basis by the ultra rich who bankrupted the entire American economy, didn't pay back their debts, and took a bailout from the government of our tax money. Our tax money bailed them out while we were left to starve on the streets. What we're witnessing today is the largest transfer of wealth from the 1% to the 99% that's arguably happened in the past 100 years. That's what you're witnessing. And that is so dangerous for all of these hedge funds because it's not only with GameStop, it's with Bed Bath & Beyond, it's with AMC, it's with so many more. And we're going to talk about the repercussions in a second. They stopped the trading. Why? So that panic can set in with the everyday trader, and people started selling like fucking crazy. And in 2 hours, the price went from 265 to 469, and then people started fucking selling because that's all they could do. And Thursday, by 11:30, in another hour, it went down to $132. Thursday was a fucking bloodbath until it settled at around 276. And you might ask, NEMR, what? Look at this, 276, went back down. We're still in Thursday, $197. Friday, it's 379. What happened? What happened? Deep fucking value happened. This man deserves so much credit for what happened. Deep fucking value has been posting right here, and I pulled out his post history. This is his account. He's been posting his daily returns on GameStop since he made the purchase, okay? This is as far as I can go down. Right here. There, it's going down more. Every day he posts all his positions, everything. February, January, the whole thing. Take a look at this. This is 4 days ago. Take a look at this. 4 days ago, he's made in a day $4 million, $3.6 million, right? 4 days ago. 3 days ago, he's made $10 million. Take a look at this. January 28. What day is January 28? Thursday, January 28. The day that everything went to shit and panic set into the market, Deep fucking Value posted this. He has lost $7.6 million, but he's not selling. This is the power of the meme. And this is what you guys need to know. This post here, which got 259,000 likes or upvotes, if you will, all of these awards triggered this. And once again, when I find myself in times of trouble, Deep fucking Value comes to me speaking words of wisdom. Let it tend thee. The king has spoken. Hold, ape together strong for Harambe. Nothing has been the same since Harambe died. This is for him. Rocket, gorilla, fly to the moon with us. He fucking held. What a legend. This gave hope. And when he posted this, and I was literally like glued to my phone, it was around the time that we saw this happening. This, the market started to stabilize, and then this. What we saw on Thursday was so historical because it was the first time that the ultra rich The people who started this whole mess to begin with by doing naked shorts, who put themselves in a position that was very, very wrong and very financially unsound, who literally wanted to abuse their ability to short the stock to bankrupt GameStop so that they could make a buck at the expense of 15,000 jobs and an economic crash potentially, united against the 99% and tried everything they could to shut them down. It did not work. This made the 99% even more fucking angry, and we started to see people online saying, I'm going to put $2 million in GameStop stock, and I'm not going to let it go. I put $50,000 in GameStop, and I don't even give a shit. I don't want the money. I just want to get those fuckers to feel like shit. People started posting stuff like that, and people started buying the stock. It became a war. It became a war. On Thursday, it was something that we've never seen before, nor could we imagine. It sounded like a badly written movie, for fuck's sake. Who would pay money into a stock that they have almost 100% chance of losing the value of? Because once you buy this stock, and yes, the value of the stock now is really high, but eventually people are going to have to sell this stock. Is GameStop worth $325? No, of course not. What the fuck is it? Apple now all of a sudden? No. So people are going to have to sell. So you're telling me that people are buying a stock that they know they're going to lose money in just to fuck with the big guy? That wouldn't happen. It did. It did. Now, so when he made this post, that's what went down right here. And it went fucking ballistic. It was picked up. Now, this is the kind of shit, the memes. 9:25 a.m. Take a look at this meme because it summarizes everything. 9:25 a.m. Once again, trigger warning. I'm sorry. These are the words they use. Deep fucking value, Wall Street bets. So deep fucking value is Leonidas in 300. He's leading Wall Street bets. Paper hands are people who get afraid easily and sell the stock super quick. That's basically what he's saying. They come in and he's saying, they're telling him to stop, so they talk to him. So they address him as retard. Okay? What a pleasant surprise. Panic sellers. This morning is full of surprises. We heard Wall Street bets was on the warpath. We were eager to join forces. If it's blood you seek, you're welcome to join us. Okay? But you bring only these handful of soldiers against hedge funds? This is a great way of breaking it down. I see I was wrong to expect Wall Street Bet's commitment to at least match our own. So these are the masses. Okay? 9:30 in the morning. Doesn't it? This is the famous scene from 300. You there. What's your strategy? Cut my losses at open, sir. Let's add some dramatic music here, okay? Let's make this pumped up. And you, crypto pumper, what is your strategy? Set a stop loss at 300, sir. Set a stop loss. How about you? I will sell at open. Wall Street bets. What is your strategy? Hold, hold, hold. I brought more soldiers than you did. 9:25 a.m. brokerages restrict buying. That's how it went down. That is what we saw. Literally, that is what went down. They were holding, and that's what gave rise to memes like this. Buy and hold. Stonks. Yo, Wall Street was decimated by a bunch of people who called stocks stonks and go to the moon, ape together strong for Harambe. And this shit started coming out. Buy and hold. Do you understand what we're talking about here? People are being told to put their money into a stock and hold it to fight back against the hedge funds. This was a revolution happening by the working class. Something that I've never seen before, nor could I have imagined. It's fantasy. It's fucking fantasy. And I love to see it. Losses on short positions in U.S. firms top $70 billion. $70 billion are being wiped out. This was on January 28. What are we today? We're January 31. So this was on Thursday. $70 billion. Is that bad? Yeah. But why the fuck did you allow yourself into this position to begin with? That's like people come up with conspiracy theories that the explosion that happened in Lebanon on August 4th was an outside job. And I always say, maybe it was. Maybe a foreign power came and lit the fuse and blew everyone to kingdom come. But you let those 2.8 tons of ammonium nitrate sit for 6 fucking years. You allowed us to get into this position of cataclysmic collapse. And this is the same shit here. Why did you allow yourselves to get into a position that fucking people who refer to themselves as autists, retards, and my wife's boyfriend, they always post saying, I made so much money, I can't wait to share my money with my wife's boyfriend. They literally make fun of themselves like that. That's what they say. It's a bunch of weird guys making weird comments, and they were able to topple you. How could you let yourself get into this position? It reminds me of a saying from the anime Ghost in the Shell, the movie Part 2. At a point in the movie, the two characters are talking, and one guy tells this story about an incredible hacker that he knows that was a genius. He did this, he hacked the Pentagon, he went there, he did that, he did this, and he grew and he became, and after 20 years, he was unstoppable, and this was incredible. But at the end, they caught him because he did this thing that was really stupid. And the guy turns around and he looks at him and he says one of my favorite sayings of all time. A donkey that goes on an adventure does not come back a horse. A donkey that goes on an adventure does not come back a horse. The reason that all of this was working before was because they couldn't be stopped, not because it was smart. It was manipulation. And the fact that the manipulation was so easily quashed by a bunch of people who call themselves autists, retards, and pride themselves in playing video games with their wife's boyfriend and saying he's a really cool dude. It's a joke, by the way. I don't really understand how to explain that it's funny, but that's what it is. A donkey that goes on an adventure does not come back a horse. There's a practice that we learned about when I was studying finance at university called keiretsu, which is something the Japanese used to do. There used to be something called a zeibatsu before that, and I should say it with more gusto. So since we're talking about Japan, let's add switch camera angles. Let's add the cherry blossoms. Fantastic. Okay, let's put in some Japanese. There we go. In Japan, there is something called Nani? Keiretsu. Now, a keiretsu, what does a keiretsu mean? A keiretsu, or a zaibatsu, which was before it, was where companies up and down the chain, a vertical chain, would own shares in one another. So the supplier and the distributor and everybody had shares in one another's company. They were controlled by kind of like a mother family, if you will. As that went down, and after World War II, it was broken up, it morphed into something called a keiretsu. And a keiretsu is basically where competitors, Nissan and Mitsubishi, will own shares in one another's companies. Why? Because it encourages ethical behavior. Because if I come in and I own shares in a competitor's company, and I do something unethical to tank that company, I will lose money too, because I have money invested and I have shares in their company. So it's a way of cross-owning with the intent, doesn't necessarily work all the time, but with the intent of making it so that you can protect from a bloodbath that would massacre everyone. Protect. And I think it's a cultural thing, because Japanese are always like, the person who sticks out like a nail will be hammered down. They have a very much a philosophy of not follower, not leader, just you have to basically go with the pack, like it's all of us together. So this is not the case here. It became a bloodbath. Nobody was coordinating. And what Deep Fucking Value pointed out in August and before that triggered a change that was insane. Japanese stuff over. Okay? Billionaire goes on, hedge fund billionaire says he's being attacked by the poor and middle class investors. This dude is crying. He actually cried on TV because he got attacked. No, you got outplayed at your own game. You did. You got outplayed at your own game. Period. It's bullshit. You were shorting a stock that you did not own. Does anybody know who Linus Tech Tips is? Linus Tech Tips is one of my favorite YouTubers. This post cracked me up. The face of a man who made a $50,000 mistake. Start of the fuck up, calling the wife. Why am I showing you this? You need to understand that where in the past we would look at movies, JFK and the Cuban Missile Crisis, or The Big Short, the movie with Mike, whatever his name was, and all of that stuff, it's usually very, gentlemanly and lady people having tough decisions with a glass of whiskey in their hands that they carry from the bottom up, and they say, we must make sure that the Germans are stopped at the gates. We cannot. And people ask them, like, what do you think? And they make a decision with their back to the camera. They're like, "Aye, the time has come. I've heard enough from you. We will attack at dawn." That kind of shit. Let it be known that in the movie, and I can't wait for them to make a movie about this, this is the kind of shit they're going to show. A bunch of guys. There was a lot of big dick energy. Small brain, big dick energy. Guys like, ape together strong. A lot of this happened because men are stupid. It needs to be said. Linus Tech Tips on his podcast gets excited about what's going on and makes this pledge.
We're going to have some fun. So I am going to match you guys, and then I am going to 5x that number, and I am going to buy GameStop, and we're going to ride it into the ground. So that is my personal guarantee of quality.
So he comes and he says, "You know what? You guys, whatever you guys donate right now on this stream, I will match it and 5 times it. Let's go. We're going to ride this into the ground," thinking, how much could it possibly be? That started at 16 minutes and 22 seconds. Here he's calling his wife at 37 minutes. So this is 16. This is like 20 minutes later.
Okay, all right, let's call the wife.
Calling his wife.
You guys are going on LTT store, right? You're buying stuff on LTT store?
Okay.
So people are buying stuff from the store.
Is that you are now potentially the world's biggest gamer because you spent more money at GameStop than you have on your car.
Thanks for that. Hey, so you're live on the WAN show right now.
I need to point out, God bless women. I mean, I'm just gonna apologize to my future wife Vanessa from now for everything that happens in the future, because I'm gonna do shit like this. I know I am. We need women. If we didn't have women in our lives, shit would be crazy.
Some interesting news.
We need intelligence.
I may have run my mouth a little bit on the show today. So do we have any means of buying individual stocks?
What do you want to do?
Are we set up for it? I know you have that thing for the trust, like I don't even know what it's called. But the thing with the bank.
Remember you're live on the show.
Remember you're live on the show, so.
I don't have very much money in it. Why?
Yeah. No, I don't mean that thing. I just mean like we'd have to use cash. Like it would be like cash money. I just mean like, do we even have like an account with like any, like do we have a broker?
We have an account with a bank where I could buy stock online. I have not tried it.
This is live.
Not very much money in it. But we do have something.
Okay, so I have interesting news for you. How hard is it to transfer money into that account?
I don't know. I would have to look into that because I've only done it once.
Can I just move your focus to his face? Like, he's terrified. His eyes are glazed. Oh man.
Okay, cool. So I need you to put about $50,000 US in that account.
What?
I need you to put about $50,000 US in that account because we need to invest in GameStop. No, we actually have to now though because the community gave me money for it. Yeah, so what I said was that I would take all the super chats for the show today, and I would match them, and that I would
this is my favorite part.
Take that number times 5, and I have since capped it. I capped it, so I was actually very responsible if you think about it.
I was actually very responsible if you think about it. I capped it, baby. I capped it.
You know that they shut down certain buying. I haven't been following the GameStop.
I know.
But I know that they put restrictions on buying that stock. So how are we?
Not 10K, Habs. 50K. Yeah, 10K.
Here we can in Canada. So anyway, I've committed it at this point. I said I would 5x what they contributed, and it looks like they're probably going to reach my maximum, which is $10,000 in super chats. So
blame Canada.
Monday maybe.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, I told them I'd do it. You know how it is.
Why do you do things?
Why do you do things? Why do you do things?
You know what? Okay, so think about it this way.
This is great. This is great.
Our $50,000 could screw over bad people far more than it's costing us.
Listen to the woman's reply. I mean, this is why women are so much better than men. What was his argument? It's for a good cause.
Okay.
All right.
I would much rather donate that money to a charity.
Yep.
Oh! Oh my God! Oh! He had one leg. He was standing on one leg. He was in the middle of the ocean, standing on one leg, barely making it, and she just swiped it out from under him. My God!
Are helping people in need. I'd much rather.
Can you please look at the hope drain from his face that he will not be sleeping on the couch for the next 2 months? Just look how hopeful. Look at that. He's a what?
Okay.
All right.
He takes a big gulp. And if you saw that there, he's like, I made it. I'm good.
I would much rather donate that money to a charity.
Yep.
Are helping people in need.
Look at him.
Rich people, whatever, I don't know, bad people.
That's fair, but here's
my condolences.
another way of thinking about it, okay? When the stock falls, which it inevitably will, that money will go to all the small retail investors who cash out. So it kind of helps people in need if you think about it.
Look at the comments. Rest in peace.
Love you.
I will talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Did not get a love you too. I will talk to you later. Oof, I felt that right here. Oh. Love you. I'll talk to you later. Oh. So when it's all said and done, I want you guys to take away this one thing. The reason this happened was because of a bunch of really stupid, really fucking awesome young people going YOLO. And the fact that that was able to tank the market the way it is and put everything in jeopardy basically tells you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about a stock that Michael Burry believed in as well, who thought that was very valuable. A stock that meant something to people like us, gamers. I bought this from GameStop. I bought Mega Man 3 plushie from GameStop. This is one of my favorite things that I have right here. I bought these from GameStop. God damn it. Hold on. Let me put this right there. There we go. I bought these from GameStop. That's Ken. Mega Man, my favorite. Ryu, GameStop. We grew up with GameStop. And now you're fucking with GameStop? So that's kind of how people took it. But it's also a company that people like Deep Fucking Value and Michael Burry, who's a legend, who predicted the 2008 crash before anybody else did and made billions of dollars on it. He made 1,500% gain because he had also invested in GameStop around the exact same time that Deep Fucking Value did. And he continues to say that Tesla isn't GameStop. He believes GameStop will hold its value and not the value it's at now, just the value he believes it should have. And Wall Street Bets should not be taken down. Because this week also, Wall Street Bets Discord got shut off and their subreddit got taken down. That's how big it was. So remember the reality of this situation that we're in today. For once, and it might be the last time, the fallout of this might wreak havoc on the financial markets. It really might. The fallout from this could be huge. Also, the fallout from this could be really good. What happens in the next 2 weeks is anybody's guess. Really. It really is anybody's guess. A lot of people are out there guessing. I can't even begin to say that I have a modicum of insight to give you, oh, this is what's going to happen. I can't even really guess what's going to happen now. It really depends on whether or not people will continue to hold the stock. You see, the weekend can be very dangerous The weekend gives people time to talk. The weekend gives people time to talk to their wives, like Linus. It gives time for the wives to talk to the husband. A lot of women bought this stock as well. Wives to talk to their wives, husbands to talk to their husbands. Whatever you may be, whatever sexual orientation, the weekend gives you time to pause and reflect. That means on Monday, more people might buy the stock and hold, or more people might sell the stock and bring the price down. The hedge funds have borrowed tons of money to cover their positions. That money's going to run out soon. If the stock price goes down enough, they can reverse, they can get enough stock, they can cover their shorts, literally cover their shorts, not the shorts they're wearing, although that's pretty much all they got on now. They're so naked. And they might be able to survive this. But if more people buy the stock and more people hold the stock, so we're going to be looking at whether or not they're going to be selling it this week. If they don't sell it and more people buy it and people continue to hold it, the short squeeze gets tighter. The more the squeeze happens, the harder it becomes for the hedge funds to survive. So let's say the hedge funds die, some of them that are invested in here. What happens after that? I can't tell you. What happens when people want to sell the stock and the price starts going down? I can't tell you. Will this become a new trend we start seeing where people who make lots of money dedicate certain portions of their funding to fucking over big hedge funds? Maybe. What are the next stocks on the list? AMC, the cinema chain. After that, I think a lot of people are talking about Bed Bath & Beyond as well. These are companies that have huge naked short positions on. I can guarantee you that over the weekend, it's not just individual investors with wives and husbands and girlfriends and partners and friends that are talking, but it's hedge funds that are having meetings and saying, guys, we have the same position in this company. Nobody knows about it yet. We got to start exiting this right fucking now, or else we are done. So vigilante justice may end up bringing the reform and regulation that we've needed in this market for so long. I hope it does. That's my hope from all of this. My conclusion is I hope when this is said and done, we have a better regulated market that protects everyone. Protect the hedge funds. I don't want to see the hedge funds get destroyed, but I also want it to protect everyday users. I really want everyday people to be able to participate in the stock market. I don't want them to face a situation where they can't buy the stock they want to buy. And I want it to be a fair field. It's never going to be fair. But let's take away a few of the things that are just absolutely fucking insane. A few of the things that resulted in financial crashes like the one in 2008 that almost decimated. It resulted in people killing themselves. Dude, lives get lost. So that's all I have to say on that. It's a wild week. I hope I have more stuff. We're still moving on with the week in review. There's other stuff that happened. Lots of funny shit. We're going to jump in. But about Wall Street bets, I'm sorry I took so long. It's a complex topic, but it's also the most thrilling thing I've ever seen. And as a comedian and a finance student, our two worlds, I am Optimus Prime. And I have traveled far from beyond the stars. In a world where comedy and finance unite, I bring you the week in review. Transformers! I mean, this was the most exciting.